Welcome and welcome back, everybody, to the OK Grognard Show. It is Monday, April 12th, 2021, 10 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And if you haven't heard already, here's a little announcement that Lake Geneva Games reopens this Thursday, April 15th at 3 p.m. I'll get into all the hours for the place a little later in the show, but let me just say a few things about how it's been. Well, it closed last year. March 23rd was a Monday, just before GaryCon was the last day. Jason and I uh, cleared some of the place up, secured some of the items from the place, the more expensive items, and shut things down. And I'll tell you, it was disconcerting, mostly because we weren't sure when we were going to reopen. The one thing Jason was adamant about was that the store was going to reopen. If it wasn't, he would have said so then. He would have decided then. A few years earlier, he had talked about closing the store because it seemed a bit much for him to handle, and his kids were getting older, and he wanted to see them grow up. Of course, his wife has an audiology practice, so if they were going to have one of them step back from being out in the world, obviously it was going to be him walking away from a game store. But through hard work and putting some things right and in order after 6 years of the store being open, uh, between him and I and some very helpful work from a good number of part-time people, the place was put into a position where it was a non-decision going into the pandemic whether the place would reopen on the other side. It was just a matter of figuring out how. And Jason did all the hard work doing the numbers of that and deciding how that would best work. Um, he asked me about a few things, bounced some ideas off of me, but 99.9% of that decision and how it would work was all his all his planning and all his doing, and he's absolutely to be commended for ensuring that Lake Geneva would not be a town with a storied history of gaming that did not have a game store once we got beyond this pandemic. So please, if you're in the area, if you're coming to the area, Jason will be behind the counter for the foreseeable future. He's assured me he wants me back in managing the place, but uh, right out of the gate, he needs to put a dent in some of the debt that has accrued over this last almost 13 months of being closed. It was the safest way and the most financially reasonable way of doing it. No half measures, no partially open, no curbside, no staffing to keep pricing on singles and all of that up and constantly. The overhead would have been too much. It had to be completely shut down. And now on the other side of it, there is some effort that needs to be made to uh, reverse some of the outflow and get some inflow. So please do stop by the store. Congratulate Jason on the job he did making sure Lake Geneva Games was going to be an ongoing concern for the future after this pandemic. And thank him. That's a big deal. Lake Geneva without a game store. Hell, when I moved up here 9, almost 10 years ago, one of uh, one of the reasons I was happy to move up here was that there was a functioning game store with game space here in town. And as a semi-retired person who'd been gaming since the 70s, wargaming, board gaming, RPGing as soon as it came out in 74, and all of that, I loved the idea of moving to Lake Geneva, um, to eventually retire someday here in Lake Geneva, but with the understanding that there was a game store here in town. Can you imagine moving to Lake Geneva and then a game store closes? Not a good thing if you're a gamer. So, all thanks go to Jason for making this happen. And if you get the chance, stop on in or post a thank you on his on the Lake Geneva Games Facebook page. Let him know that you appreciate that he has done this and that it has so far so good worked out. And also go ahead and stop by. I know at least right out of the gate at the opening, there's going to be a sale on some stuff that needs to be moved. You know, it's been over a year since the store was open. There's some stock that, well, you know, there's some stock that was damaged by sun damage coming in the front window over a year with stuff not being moved around. Um, there wasn't a lot of ways to protect other than boarding up the windows, and that wasn't going to be an option. So, you know, and there are a few items that had been sitting around that had some dings and dents in them. There's a few things that have just need to be moved, need to be sold. So there's going to be some giveaway items. So make sure to stop in uh, soon after the opening, maybe right at the opening, 3 o'clock on Thursday, and get your mitts on some of this stuff because there'll be some good stuff to be had, some great stuff to be had at some great prices, and of course, support your friendly local game store and help out. Both Ken and Jesse will be working part time uh, right after the place opens, so look for Jesse to be working there for Friday night. Um, there isn't an official Friday Night Magic, but people can utilize the back room for some gameplay. There's a pre-release this weekend. We'll get into some details about that here on the show today. There is also the plan for Ken to be working on Wednesdays again. So look for our buddy Ken to be handling RPG nights, and both of those guys may wind up picking up some extra hours beyond those specific days, but you can look for them on those days. Later in the summer, I'll rejoin the team, and that'll come very soon. Hey, Misty, there's our friend Misty in the chat right now. Is our is our good buddy is our good buddy Rickett, the Mandalorian man, around there too? Sup? And absolutely, I'll be back in the saddle sometime later in the summer after a decent amount of a dent has been put into the the debt that has accrued due to being closed for 13 months. And help out. You can help out with that too, of course. If you're going to be picking up some gaming stuff, if you're interested in picking up anything, let the store, let the Lake Geneva Games be the place where you pick that up. And also, hey, by the way, until restrictions are lifted on number of people in spaces, um, they will be using a reserve system. We'll get into some of that a little bit later too. What did I want to do though? I did want to take a look at the website revamp, which was done during the time that the store was closed. I think we can pop this open. There we go. Let's do that. Let's have a look at the website here. Yeah, so it's a very different looking website than it was when we closed. Advanced search events prominently up top, so you could look for specific cards if you're a Magic player, or you can look for specific events, new sets coming out, banners on either side for premium sets that are coming out, some featured products front and center, and a way to browse the store. Board games, tabletop games, Magic, all the different sets, most recent, sealed products if you want to just go by that. We've got all sorts of stuff there. We, I say we because I still consider myself part of the store, at least as a stakeholder, as a gamer in the community, and I think everybody should feel that way. Everybody who's a part of the store. Hey, Hobbsy, how you doing? George, what's going on? Carrying around that Kasumba shield now, huh? There you go. Card accessories, sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, other stuff, Dice and counters, of course. Dice sets, all sorts of stuff there. We've got role-playing games, D&D, Pathfinder, others. We've got aids for, like game mats, maps, tiles, other RPG aids, miniatures, Reaper, of course, and then any number of other. And, of course, brushes, paints, primers, varnishes, kits, tools, glue. Games Workshop, 40K, of course, the biggest seller at the store and the biggest gaming concern there. But Fantasy, Warhammer, Sigmar, of course, Lord of the Rings, Citadel, other games, and swag. That'll include T-shirts and such. And there you go. I'll tell you what, we had just picked up a new round of Lake Geneva Games six-sided dice. We had just picked up T-shirts like the black one that I am wearing right here. So currently going in, we're well stocked for picking up items like that. Almost gone. We got stuff that's running low and featured products. Deals under $5, deals under 20, deals under 100. Some great list. Featured by list. That's something that's going to take a while to work out, but it's a newer feature for the site. News and events toward the bottom. We've got an integrated Facebook uh, window here. Off to the left, just some daily news from events coming up. In the center, letting people know everything's reopening. Down the bottom, and here's something I'm not sure was ever cleanly organized on the website, but straight up, the address, the phone number, an email address to Jason, who's running the place currently, reopening April 15th, and then the hours closed Tuesday, but Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 to 9. So going back to the original hours, Friday, 3 to 10, Saturday, noon to 10, and Sunday, noon to 9. So all of that information at the bottom of each page of the website, easy to find. And advanced search and events, once again, events, very prominent because the integrated Google Calendar for the web store will show you everything you need to know about the timing of various events. Strixhaven pre-release this weekend. Note that there are two separate rooms. All this weekend will be Strixhaven pre-release events. And I say events, it's going to be open play. It's going to be open play because there are no official events for Lake Geneva Games that are sanctioned by Wizards of the Coast at this time. But they have no problem with people picking up product. They have no problem with people doing open play in stores based on what individual states' rules are for usage of space, how many people can be in them, what sort of protocols they have to follow. We'll be looking at masks. We'll be looking at no more than 10 people per room, but there are 2 rooms, so we should have plenty of space for people to play a little bit. Come on in, grab a couple of pre-release kits, have yourself some fun. Starting on Mondays, Monday Magic, of course, and the Secret Room is available. Back Room available on Wednesday, and Secret Room available on Wednesday. Most times that's RPGs. If you want to play with a group, an RPG, stop in. You can't reserve those spaces by phone. I think you have to plop down some sort of a nominal fee. Hey Rick, how you doing? I don't know if it's going to be $5 or $10 for your group. You'll be able to have up to 10 people in a room. So if you're only going to have five, maybe you'll be splitting the room up with another small group. Not sure exactly how that'll work. Jason will have the details available on Thursday at 3 p.m. So stop on in and ask him and make some reservations for the room for yourself. Back room there and secret room available, of course, for Thursdays. Friday's always going to be about Magic. And at least for the foreseeable future, only about Magic. It's the biggest revenue stream for the store. And for the store to get back to where it was, we're going to need to focus on that for Fridays. Absolutely. Back room and secret room both available for Saturdays. For you Warhammer people, make sure you pop on in and make a reservation. Take over that space for Saturday afternoons if you want, and just let them know that you want to get some time in on the tables again. We still have tables that can be moved around. We still have some terrain. We still have that sort of stuff ready to go for anybody who's interested in playing those games. Closed on Tuesdays, as I said, and as you can see from this, we're going to keep going with all of that. You'll be able to make those reservations and get yourself a place to play going forward. Just pop on in. He'll change the calendar once people have set their own dates. So there you go. I'll pop this back down. We'll back off one here. Out of the events room back to the front page. So this is great. Now, as far as the website's concerned, do not, I would suggest you not yet rely on it for exact pricing. A lot of pricing has changed over the time that the store's been closed. So singles are not going to be up to date until Thursday, um, which is to say there's an ongoing process of bringing all of that stuff up to date. By Thursday, it should be finalized. I'm sure some stuff has already been adjusted. More stuff needs to be adjusted. That's not just singles either. We're talking about prices of boxes and packs and absolutely everything involved in Magic. We're talking about board games. Some board game companies, Asmodee in particular, has re-evaluated the pricing on a lot of games. He is. How you doing there, Prometheus? And they need to do adjust the price, especially on games like Catan, which had a low, low price for a long, long time compared to other board games uh, similar, similar sized and similar ilk. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but let's just say for war games of its caliber, or board games of its caliber, Catan had always been way underpriced. And they needed to raise that a little bit to bring it in line with current pricing. I mean, can you imagine some new board game comes out? Okay, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. And there's old Catan. They're getting $50, they're getting 35. Somebody's losing some money there. A reputation of a great game like Catan, uh, guaranteed a game you'll enjoy because it's so well made and it stands the test of time. And the fact that you've got extensions and expansions for it, so if you do enjoy it, you can continue to enjoy it for a long time. A lot of replayability just in the base game, let alone with all the extras that you can add on to it. So some pricing needed to change for some board games and stuff. And again, none of this is these aren't decisions made by Lake Geneva Games. These are decisions made by the companies that produce these games often. Also, whatever the market is for some of these things. As you know, Wizards of the Coast hasn't had MSRP on its products for 2.5, 3 years, something like that. They stopped doing that. They wanted to be sure they weren't underselling stuff. Packs, that $3.99 pack price that has been around so long, it's ridiculous. So packs have had to go on up, boxes have had to go up. Um, you'll still see some deals on um, buying multiple packs, and of course, always great that you can get a great price when you join in an event. So as soon as we can get events started up, I think Jason's looking mainly at what the state's doing for restaurants and bars. So if they remove all restrictions for capacity, then that's the point at which Lake Geneva Games will do the same. That doesn't mean we won't still have some protocols in place, extra cleaning, of course, in between customers and after hours and before we open. Um, Masks being worn, mandatory masks inside the place, may be the deal for quite some time. We've got to make sure that we get to the other side of this as safely as possible. We don't want to. What's the phrase that I learned from baseball? You run through first base. You don't run to first base. You don't slow up before you get there. Make sure you hit it at full stride. Get to first base. Once you get to the other side, you relax. Don't relax before you get there. You run through the finish line. So that's definitely the attitude we're taking. We didn't close down for a year to only wind up screwing things up as the pandemic began to slow. So look for that. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we're after 20 minutes. Tell you what, we might call this a slightly shorter show today. Um, any questions in the chat? There's George saying, "Good to hear Lake Geneva Games is opening up again." Absolutely, it's a great thing. I know Rick and Misty, who are both here, are Lake Geneva Games fans and regulars. Hobbsy needs to get up to Lake Geneva Games one of these days. Probably won't be too long before we get back to doing old school second Sunday RPGing. So keep that in mind for summertime or later in the summertime when we get back to doing that sort of thing. RPGs every second Sunday, old school RPGs every second Sunday was something we were doing for, I don't know, half a year to a year before the pandemic shut everything down. So that was a nice, fun thing we were building on and was starting to grow. So it was a good time. There were some first edition games. There were some old school Cthulhu games, that sort of thing. So we'll check that out when we get to later in the summer. I was going to ask though, any questions from anybody in the chat regarding Lake Geneva Games or anything along those lines? I'm happy to answer it if I can. Once again, I'll reiterate, Jason will be running the place when it reopens. He's assured me he wants me back there as manager later in the summer once a good dent has been put into the debt that has accrued over this past 13 months almost of being closed. It's perfectly understandable. Don't anybody worry about me. I'm in fine shape. I'm not desperate to get back there financially, so there's nothing to be concerned about in that regard. Obviously, I would love to be back there and seeing everybody right away, but I'm one shot into my two-shot COVID inoculation vaccine protocol, and I won't be getting the other one for just a little bit yet. Once I've had that and I'm 2 weeks on the other side of that, of course, I'll still be doing washing my hands and wearing a mask and whatever when I'm around other people. But for places like the game store where that's protocol, but I'll be very careful until I get to the other side of this too. Once again, run through the finish line, people. Don't uh, don't squander all of the hard work you've put into making yourself and everybody safe by tripping or stumbling before you get to the finish line. Would not be a good look on you. You don't want to be remembered that way. What a hell of an epitaph. 2 yards short. Loving father, excellent friend, hell of a gamer, unlucky bastard. You don't want that on your tombstone. So let's make sure we're not doing that sort of thing. George says, yeah, man, from Hobbsy. That's on the old school gaming, I'm sure. George says, family is set for this Friday. First shot, finally. Excellent, George. I'm glad to hear it, buddy. I'm glad to hear it. I'm hoping everybody gets their shots and gets it all done and gets to the other side. And you know what? This last year has been a real blast doing the show. And I want to thank everybody who has followed the show, everybody who's chimed in on the stream chat. If you do follow the show on the Twitch stream chat, be sure to click the follow button. Help us out that way. And remember that we do stream this show every Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Central. We pared it back for 2021 so that even after I get back to the store, I'll still be able to do this twice a week, 10 a.m. Central, streaming about a half hour. And of course, we upload it. We upload it every day to YouTube once it's in the can. Usually within an hour after the show is streamed, you can catch it on YouTube. And if you do catch it on YouTube, be sure to give a thumbs up to any videos you like and enjoy and watch, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the little bell so you get notifications whenever we put a new episode up. And of course, feel free to leave comments if you want to discuss the theme of a given show, or if you want to give us some friendly feedback or constructive criticism to help make the show a little better. Understand this is not the most professional of productions, but we try to make it clean as we can. Well, I will say thank you once again to everybody who follows the show and checks it out. I hope you have a great week. Be sure to stop by Lake Geneva Games on Thursday after 3 p.m. or ongoing. The hours are on the website, lakegenevagames.com. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Bye-bye.